AAT Birds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. It's all birds, all the time.
How about them Eagles?
And how about them Eagles? On to the NFC Championship game. A very edge of your seat type of game, especially towards the end there. I don't like games like that, but again, that's what you're going to have in the playoffs. It's just what it is. Saquon runs wild. Maybe that should have been the headline. Saquon runs wild again on the Rams. The weather conditions made it a little tough to pass the ball. I know toward the end, the Rams were able to pass the ball. So, I want your initial first thoughts on what went down, and then we'll get into a couple things here, and then we'll be off. And then Wednesday, we'll come back to talk about the NFC Championship.
So it was funny. We ended up not doing a preview show this week, but if we had, I would have said at no point did I didn't doubt that the Eagles were going to win this game at any point. I felt like they were the better team. I felt like them being at home. I felt like the weather. I felt we had already beaten them. I felt all the good things. The only time my superb confidence wavered was when the Rams scored the touchdown to make it 28-22, because I was starting to go, no, there's no way that this is going to happen. The Eagles played a better game. Now, are there obviously things that we're going to want to improve upon? Yes. Are there things that the Eagles are going to have to do better playing against a scalding hot Washington team? Absolutely. Are the injuries starting to pile up a little bit? Yeah. I just think that, being able to host the NFC Championship, it's a good feeling. Like I said, I think the weather contributed huge. And the Eagles are
make that point with the weather. I don't mind snow games, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's just not a game. I was a little hesitant with the weather. I'm like, oh, there's going to snow tons. I don't want to snow a lot, because when you look at weather conditions or field conditions or whatever it may be, it's never always the best thing, especially in the playoffs for the Eagles. You look in 1988, the Fog Bowl. They didn't score enough points before the fog rolled in and then couldn't see anything. Of course, you have the slipping of the field in the Super Bowl. You have the snow here. It started, especially when they made it. They scored 20 points on the 78-yard run by Saquon, which was absolutely beautiful. But then the Rams were able to go right down the field. They had a big third down, and it looked like the Eagles pass rushers were gassed. But I'll tell you this, when push came to shove and their backs were up against the wall, Jalen Carter showed you why he's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, because he had that sack on 3rd and short to make it 4th and 10, I believe. And then he got pressure on the quarterback, which he threw the ball out of arm's reach and into the sidelines, and there was no catch, and the game was over. So, the defense, here and there, of course, Quignon going out with a shoulder, which he said he was fine after the game and stuff. So could just be like a pain tolerance type of thing, but he says, he should be good to go. Isaiah Rodgers going out for a few plays. He did come back in, so that's always, a good sign with them. It's just the pass game wasn't great. A couple drops, which kind of hurt you. The AJ drop before the end of the first half. That was big because that would have been a touchdown there, and that's not one that usually drops there. There's a couple nice throws. Dallas Goedert, a couple nice catches, a couple big short throws and stuff like that. But again, scary situation in terms of when AJ got his leg caught up. That gave me flashbacks. I don't know if it did for you. The Arizona game in 2002 with Donovan McNabb getting his leg caught up. Hopefully he's all good to go and okay there. But listen, it's people want to make, and I'm telling you right now, this is what you're going to hear, whether it's the media, whether it's radio, whatever it is, you're going to see it online, social media, all that. They're going to talk about the pass game. They're going to talk about how Jalen only had 128 passing yards. They're not going to mention how Eagles had 285 rushing yards. And You're not going to hear that. You're going to see, he only had 128 passing yards and he was sacked, 5 times. It's just that's all you're going to hear. But if you look at the game that is playing after the Eagles game, the Ravens and the Bills game,
it's coming down to it right now.
As of right now, it's what, 4 minutes or so left in the game?
Waiting on them to shop showing all state stuff, so something like that, yeah.
Josh Allen is 16 of 22 with 127 yards. But I'm sure you're not going to hear anything about that because the weather's, I think it's snowing there. It's cold.
It is. There's 4:21 left in this game. It's 24-19. You've seen Lamar Jackson not play his best football. You've seen the Bills actually run the tush push. I mean, these are two extremely physical teams, but you know what?
And again,
what it comes down to is the Eagles have to, we know that it has to be different standards. The Eagles are winning football games. So you don't see A.J. Brown throwing hissy fits on the sideline when you watch, Jalen scamper for a touchdown. When you see,
if you watch that, Chip, like in the picture I have down the corner here, you see AJ in the background. If you watch that run, he is sprinting as fast as he can to catch up to Saquon. It's what they all have said. It's about winning the game. Like, stats don't matter if you lose the game. Who really cares what you did if you lost the game? And even if you won the game, who cares what you did? You won the game. That's what it's about. And if you look at the team in the AFC right now, who is in the AFC Championship game in the Kansas City Chiefs, what have they done all year long? They've just won. They haven't won great. I don't think they've scored over 30 points at all this whole season. So it isn't about putting on a show. It's about getting the win, going the next week.
It's about winning games. And exactly. The Eagles are not playing their best football right now.
They're starting out really well, which is something that they haven't.
I think that the Eagles defense is playing. I think the Eagles defense is playing really good football. I think that the offense is still trying to navigate through whatever is holding Jalen Hurts back. But at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles are winning football games. So, yeah, they obviously are going to have to clean some stuff up against Washington. We know that. But you have to factor in the fact that the weather was a huge, huge impact today.
Oh, no doubt.
And in a game like this, it's a ground and pound kind of game. And the Eagles were the more physical team and were successful in the ground and pound attack.
Yeah. Exactly. Listen, that's what this game called for, and that's what I kind of thought when you look at the forecast and what it was going to be. That's what you had your eyes set on, is you're going to have to run the ball and get a Shady-like performance you'd like to see out of Saquon, which he basically got really close to that, only a couple yards off of what Shady did against the Lions back in 2013, I believe. So,
the other thing that I want to point out is, I've mentioned this now quite a few times, is that this Eagles team is giving off a lot of 2017 vibes where it's that next man up mentality. And I think you saw that today with, Oren Burks played a pretty good game.
He had a big deflection.
Yeah, when Quinyon Mitchell went down, Isaiah Rodgers played pretty dang well. You saw, you even saw Kenny Gainwell playing a really good game when he had to give Saquon Barkley spells. Yeah. So I just think that you're starting to see this humongous team philosophy and the idea of, we know we want to win football games, and this is how we have to do it.
Yeah. Listen, that's the way you win the game. And again, it's about winning the game. And, I just think
you're saying here, right? Correct all about winning games. Play calling kind of iffy. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think that they were trying to figure out, and they mentioned on the broadcast, Kellen Moore, he hasn't had a good couple of weeks. It must be the Dallas in him, because the playoffs have rolled around. But I also think that dealing with Jalen coming off the concussion and then dealing with Jalen and whatever the knee injury was, he's being almost too predictable and too careful. And yes, I'm not sure if you're saying solid or sold on him, but either way, Isaiah Rodgers played a good game.
No, and I think too, when you look at some of the miscues or some of the things that kind of bit them, the false start on Lane Johnson, because that would have been a touchdown. and that was tough. And then the screen pass to Goddard that
Mackay back did. Oh, and he was so upset too.
Again, so those things, stuff you got to clean up, and they know that. They know what they got to do. They have the eye set. They have the home playoff game, which is great. Listen, last night watching Washington roll against a Detroit defense that finally, razor thin. They get their slot corner hurt early in the game. They got to bring a guy that's only played a snap in. Like they came to the point where their defense, which really wasn't that great, and then all the injuries on top of it, they're just so thin. And, they're able to score. But when you turn the ball over 4 times before that final turnover at the very end of the game, that really wasn't, an impact the game. But they had 4 turnovers early. That was a killer for them. And you're not going to come back most of the time if you turn the ball over that much. It's just not going to happen. So, the Commanders are hot. They're coming in. I get that.
Listen, you and I have been saying for quite a few weeks now that at some point it was going to catch up to Detroit. And they were officially too dilapidated to continue.
Same thing with the Minnesota Vikings. We said Darnold was going to catch up to them, and he did in that playoff game that the Rams beat them in. And listen, the Rams are a young team. They're going to be there. They're a good, solid football team. So, they have
as far as kind of like the early prediction of this game that we have coming up next Sunday. I mean, look, the Commanders are a very, very hot team right now. They keep saying that they're kind of playing with house money. They have nothing to lose, and I think that's accurate. Yeah. I know I have been one of the few people outside of the Washington area who has said, hey, this Washington team is going to be really good. I said that I was convinced they were going to make the playoffs. I remember people laughing at me. I'm just throwing that out there again. I saw the writing on the wall that this team was pretty good to begin with. With that being said, the last time that the Eagles and Washington played, Jalen was knocked out of the game very, very early.
We played 11 plays in the game.
This is what I'm saying. This is a different game. This is a different team. And anytime you see a team a third time in a season, all the bets are off.
Yeah. And you don't think there's going to be the emotion is going to run high. Remember, CJ got thrown out.
CJ got ejected from that game. Great point.
And that was the same crew that worked this game tonight or today. And I didn't know if you saw, but Saquon was told to cut his trash talk. The refs, he said, I got to go to it was like being at the principal's office. They called him aside and told him to cut the trash talk. It's like, I guess you're not allowed to trash talk. Like, I don't understand that. So,
being an official myself, what's called preventative umpiring, preventative officiating. You can see it getting worse if it continues, but at the same time, you need to let them play it out a little bit. These are grown men who need to control themselves. I like what Xavier's saying here in the beginning of the season. We had a lot of motion and play action passes. I think we need to go back to that. Yeah, absolutely. You got to start disguising your looks again.
Yeah. Listen, they have to do. They got to do something different, but they were doing a little bit of that. But then, of course, look, the inclement weather makes it really tough. The footing isn't great. You got to do so many different things. So, listen, for them, I just think that you have to just play your brand of football. It's what they've been doing. It's what they're successful at. They've seen this team twice already. They've been successful offensively against this team. And one time, Kenny Pickett was playing most of the game. So, you just hope that you can get yourself back into gear, which they will. And again, you have the NFC Championship game at home. Your fans will be the ones screaming, yelling.
Correct.
And, you have a rookie quarterback. Yes, he's poised beyond his rookie ways, if you want to say that. But, you got to try to shake it up a little bit, cause some turnovers. And again, if you can cause a few turnovers here, I think what you were seeing in that first game is the likely outcome. And again, they were only a Devontae drop away from beating the Commanders in Washington with Kenny Pickett. So, we'll see what happens. And the other news that we'll bring up on Wednesday, an injury for Washington that's pretty big is their best offensive lineman, right guard Sam Cosmi, tore his ACL. And
yeah, and I'll tell you what, I watched that play multiple times, and I knew he was done. I mean, he got blindside rolled up on, and it was
and then bent back.
ugly.
Yeah. So looks like Trent Scott is going to be playing Jalen Carter because that's where Jalen Carter plays. So it's going to be a matchup there. You got to try to take advantage of the matchups. But again, we'll get on that on the Wednesday show. Just wanted to do a quick breakdown of the Eagles beating LA and onto the NFC Championship game. And I'm stoked about it. Second time in 3 years. Listen, everyone could say what they want about Nick Sirianni, but 2 NFC Championship games in 3 years.
Dude, all he does is win.
Yeah.
And the players will go to absolute war for him.
Yeah. Listen, I'm absolutely stoked about it. I was wrong. I was on the fence early. I wasn't totally out, but I was really on the fence about it. But I was
just following the trends. That's all we were doing, okay?
We're just following the trend. I got it. That's a good way to put it. But listen, we have an NFL game next Sunday, 3:00, Eagles Commanders. We're gonna break it down Wednesday night, and
everybody do everything that you've been doing for the last couple weeks. I have my shirt. I've got the beard, the playoff beard that I've been growing. I have been wearing everything the same. I had the same thing for lunch.
Your underwear, we know.
I'll tell you Wednesday the thing that I'm doing this year that I did in 2017 that is very, very similar.
Do I really want to know? I guess I'll find out, unfortunately, but that's the case. I don't look stoked. I don't look stoked because I have to shovel snow after I get off of here. So that's where I'm kind of not very happy.
That doesn't sound very interesting, Johnny.
Well, listen, I don't have to do much. That's at least a good thing. One of the cars is in the garage, so that's a good thing. And the other
you're
car,
one of them fancy garage car people.
Well, just one of the cars. The other car is outside that has to be wiped off. But
unburied.
Listen, we got a lot of snow, so everyone who likes snow, there it is. But
not me.
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of snow, but when you get to above 3 to 5 inches, and it's, you got to. Unfortunately, I have to get rid of it. I'm not a kid anymore. I can't have the parents be the ones to do it. I'm the parent, so I got to do it. So yeah, after the show, that's what I'll be doing.
Why am I the adult?
Yeah, well, someone's got to be. But with that, as we always do, we're going to end it with 2 words and a very happy "Go Birds."
Go. This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.